Can you believe it? The wait is finally over. We are about to have some LCS action this week. But first, we're going to take a look at all the games and just, I don't know, get a feel for what's going on. So let's check that out on the LCS report. That's right, we are back, and we are on the Tuesday episode of the LCS report. Now, I'm going to quickly give you guys a reminder of how this show is going to go here over at the Game House, okay? Tuesdays are going to be the days where we're going to look at the storylines, interesting things to talk about. Thursdays are going to be more of like a betting angle of who you should be taking. To be clear, by the way, we are not affiliated with anybody. We are just there to have a Thursday show where I'm going to give my picks. And if you're somebody who likes to gamble, then that will be something that you are able to use that knowledge for. Hopefully I will do well. I think last year I finished around like 65% correct. So hoping to up that this year, although spring split's really tough to do that with. And then on Saturday, we will be taking a look back at how did the games go, who played well, who was the MVP for the week, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited about this show because I think it's going to be a good time. Everybody's talking about the LCS right now because, well, I mean, the times are changing literally and figuratively, where I think there are going to be some players who are going to be making some big leaps forward and ones who might be struggling a little bit, but that's okay. Let's take a look at some of these games coming up. Now I'm going to quickly, just pick my game of the day for each game real quick. And then I'm going to talk about some storylines and we'll just kind of go from there. A lot of people, I think, are going to be picking that 100 Thieves Cloud9 game. Rightfully so. Cool. Yeah. I am picking FlyQuest Team Liquid because I think that game has some really fun, new, exciting players. Pioshik is here for the first time. Prince, Vikla, Spica on a brand new freaking team. We get Ayla for the first time. Impact showing that, hey, it doesn't matter what team I'm on, I'm still going to be a GOAT because that's just kind of what I do, right? And then on the other side, games popping up here. You've got, Summit. Sorry, it threw me off there. Summit coming in, off of an LCS MVP the last time he was here, like literally exactly a year ago. You've got Core JJ, who's, sure, heading into the twilight of his career potentially, but he still looked as strong as, not ever, but pretty strong. But the question marks are going to come around Harry and Jan, and I'm really interested to see how are they going to be able to handle this, right? How are they going to be able to have an impact in these games where I think they have three people who are near the top of their position, while as we still have questions about them. And FlyQuest, are they going to be able to come together? These are 5 brand new players on a essentially brand new org that just kept the same name. And I'm really excited to see that game. I think that game is going to be the creme de la creme of the beginning of the weekend, or week, I guess, for us. During these second games, not as many exciting games necessarily, but I really want to see this CLG Evil Geniuses game because I think a lot of people are underestimating CLG, myself included. How good they're going to be, I don't know exactly, but that's why we're asking these questions here. But I think more importantly, at least for me personally, I really just believe that Evil Geniuses are going to be awesome, and I think if they're going to stamp, put their seal on the weekend, coming out and taking down CLG pretty convincingly. Especially after a Golden Guardians game that I think most of us expect them to win. I think that would be great. I think that would really establish themselves as, hey, it's 2-0, 2-0. We brought in Someday. We brought in FBI. Like, yes, we miss Danny and we wish him the best, but we're still going to be able to play our style of League of Legends, and we're going to be able to bring it, without Peter Dunn and all the coaches before, right? Like, I'm really interested to see this team. And then on the flip side, excuse me, let's say the CLG are able to come out on top of this game. I mean, mind-blowing, right? Then our conversation around CLG, who should be able to beat Dignitas in their first game, I think, personally. Our conversation around this team, I think, flips on its head dramatically heading into week 2. So I'm really excited to see that game. We're going to move on here, though, because, again, I think we have some really important storylines that we got to talk about this week, because there's a lot of interesting players. There's a lot of interesting things going on. I already went to FlyQuest and Team Liquid won, but, with Cloud9, they kicked Jensen yet again, and they brought in a new, young, interesting player, Diplex, somebody who not many of us were really thinking about. I kept trying to find mid laners over in the LEC that were good, and his name was there. I just really wasn't expecting them to think that highly of him, and I think that their scouting department's normally pretty good. They have a good feel for young, new players, and this guy is super aggressive. I don't know if this meta is going to fit him well. I feel like people are just going to continuously ban Akali against him and say, hey, what else you got? But, he's going to be going up against, like, that whole team, obviously. He's going to be going up against the two GOATs, in Doublelift and Bjergsen. And I think that's the other thing is, like, this whole 100 Thieves team, question marks surrounding every single part of them, right? Are Tenacity and Busio going to be able to handle it? Especially Busio, right? Like, he talked about it in their Eyes on the LCS video where they're looking at the young talent, right? And he's like, yeah, there's a lot of pressure to, to be able to live up to expectations, right? And not just that for himself, but to be able to live up to the expectation of playing with Doublelift, a guy who is constantly winning championships, right? That's just kind of what he and Bjergsen do, is they come into teams and they help them win championships. Their 2020 run was epic. I mean, it was one of the, as a TSM fan, it's one of the highlighted memories for me on a team that I just didn't expect to do it. They make that lower bracket run, and these guys know how to do it. They know how to survive in maybe not great situations, but I think it's going to all center around Closer. Is Closer going to be able to be that guy, right? Is he going to show that he doesn't need FBI? He doesn't need he doesn't need that comfortability, to be able to be one of the best junglers in the LCS and somebody who's constantly getting overlooked, I think, based on how good of a player he really is. So, for me, I'm really looking forward to that game. We continue on here. We already talked about Evil Geniuses too. And I think TSM Immortals are going to be, guys, like, this will be a battle of the bottom probably in the LCS. Like, if we're being completely honest, it's just not the game that I think everybody's going to be looking forward to. I think whoever comes out on top, the only thing that they will do is establish that they are not the worst team in the LCS at this point. TSM are doing something. We still have no idea what it is. The January announcement has not yet come at the time of recording for this episode. And I think that, TSM are in a weird position. It's clear that they're not spending a lot. They are, believing in players. I think Chime is their most exciting player, personally, and they brought in Boogie, who is the biggest question mark in the LCS. I don't think there's a bigger potential drop off from Spica to Boogie, but we'll see. He could be very wrong. Then we all thought Immortals were going to build around Kenvi, and right now, with Parth coming in, everything's going to be great, right? I'm not seeing it. I don't know what they are seeing in this team, but there's that little thing in the back of my head that says, Rob, remember when you doubted CLG very, harshly last year? And, I did during the spring. I was right. They weren't great during the spring. But then that summer team, man, they made one change and it was just like everything clicked. I think Immortals have a chance to be that type of team, but where that change is going to come, I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence in this team outside of Kenvi, and I think that's a lot of pressure to put on him. So I don't really know. I think there's, we're looking at some really interesting games. I mean, if Team Liquid don't come together right away, they could drop O2 pretty quickly, because at least TSM have 3 players who have been together. Neo's is a veteran, and while Pioshik is going to be way better than Boogie, there's still only so much that he can do to potentially carry the game. I guess the only team we really haven't talked about is Golden Guardians. I don't really know what to expect from them. They brought back Huhia, who I think is being vastly underrated constantly, but I think being paired with Stixxay is not exactly going to help him either. So, we're looking at, who's going to be able to take advantage of these new teams kind of forming, right? Are Cloud9 going to be able to be like, hey, we can come out. We're the only team that kept 4 players. We're going to come in and just smash right away. Or is it going to be Evil Geniuses who can show like, hey, it doesn't matter. As long as we have Inspired and JoJo and Vulcan, we can win with whoever. just give us whoever. So I'm so unbelievably excited for these games. Like the LCS has, I think, some of the best storylines that we've seen in such a long time. I guess I should pay my respect real quickly for Dignitas since I didn't really talk about them. Jensen Santorin are going to be awesome. I think they're going to be great. That bot lane is a liability, though. That might be the worst bot lane in the LCS. I'm just going to be honest. Ignar did not look like he had it still, and I'm surprised that Spawn is there. I hope that he proves me wrong. I want everybody here to succeed because, you know, rising tides and all of that, right? But if we're being honest, my expectations are pretty low for Dignitas, pretty low for Golden Guardians, TSM, Immortals. I think those teams are going to be kind of battling it out near the bottom. And, I think Dignitas is probably the cream of the crop in that one, but that's just because I really think that Santorin might put on like one of the best performances we've ever seen. And it may be on a team that's like 9-9 at best. So I could be wrong. I'm really interested to see what happens, guys. I mean, we're back. We are finally freaking back. And so, I don't know. Let me know below what you guys are looking forward to. What are the storylines that you think are going to be worth watching? And when I'm back on the next one, we're going to be talking which games I think that you should be taking a look at to potentially throw some money on. But yeah, other than that, I'll catch you guys on the next one.